Hope you take... Ow, that hurt. Hi there, Coach Sage of SageRunning.com here with a quick training talk on why or why not you should look into maybe getting a coach or at least a training plan, maybe even a book to provide some background and structure to your training. Now, first of all, I think you're going to say, hey, wait a second, Sage, you've been an athlete in mountain ultra trail running and road marathons for the last 5 years and you haven't had a formal coach. I do get feedback from my partner, Coach Sandy, at SageRunning.com, as well as formulating our training plans. But I don't mean to be a hypocrite here because obviously I mix it up, any service, any distance, and that's caused some problems for my personal racing, personal performances, and I do things that we wouldn't have our athletes do. For example, trying to race the Copenhagen Marathon and then 2 weeks later doing the Zagama Mountain Marathon. Horrible idea. Trying to do UTMB one year, same year I do the Comrades 50-mile road race, and then try to do a road marathon right after UTMB. Another bad idea. So, but the thing that's important here is just some of the variables and aspects of your own running and your own life that you need to consider, I think, when thinking about investing in a training program or investing in a coach, what their qualifications are, feedback that you provide them to get the most out of your money, but also the most out of your time and energy spent training, because it's blood, sweat, and tears. It's a really tough sport. It's a fickle sport, and there's no guarantees that you'll have success necessarily. There's no guarantees that you won't get injured from tendonitis to stress fractures and things like that. And it does depend on your age, your running age, your event goals, what event you're focusing on, how much time you have to train. A lot of you I know have family and work obligations. So it's like, are you sacrificing a lot of sleep to get in your morning runs, to get in your miles? But if you're only sleeping 5 hours a night to get in this extra mileage, are you better off sleeping maybe? Or are you better off doing core and strengthening work because you have an injury or need to tweak your running form versus trying to get in that extra 2 or 3 miles or 4 or 5K or something like that? So these considerations, there's tons of variables involved. But the first thing I'd look at, in getting a coach is their certifications. What have they done in running? Have they experienced the events that you're doing? Are they coming at it from a more scientific background, exercise physiology type of background? Or are they coming at it from a more mental approach? And, the best coaches are a mix of both the mental motivation, inspiration, and discipline, the mental side of running, mental training, as well as the physical side. It's both an art and a science. Great coaching is both an art and science. And in distance running, like I said, it's a fickle sport. You could get illness, injury could really derail your plan, and people respond a little bit differently, or a lot differently to individual training. And a lot of that depends on not only your genetic makeup, your DNA, which I say is a huge factor, the talent level, right, of an athlete, but also your lifestyle factors, right? Where you're coming from, what your diet and nutrition is, your sleep. But the biggest influence on your actual race performance, I always believe, besides your DNA and genetics, is going to be your actual specific training, right? And then we look at diet, sleep, and all that, lifestyle, stress. But it's all intertwined. It's all intertwined. So it's a very complex thing. So in looking at coaches, I think for a lot of people coming from the mental side, it's a matter of motivation. It's a matter of structure and motivation, keeping you accountable so you get your runs in. Because, I used to pay for music lessons when I was in school, or my parents actually paid for music lessons when I was in middle school. And, it would motivate me to practice more. But, and the lessons, the teachers were good, but, if they weren't paying for it, I wouldn't feel as obligated to practice. So it keeps you accountable when you have a training schedule, when you have an outside person looking in at your training and say, hey, did you do your long run this weekend? It keeps you accountable. So there's a certain amount of motivational aspect you're looking at. And if the coach is very good with providing feedback, communication with you and answering your questions, that's great as well on the informative side, but they're motivating you up, they're building you up for a race, they're building you up before a tough workout. They're, understanding when you have a conflict in life that gets in the way, or you tank a workout, or you don't hit the splits, or it's too hard. That's a real mental thing and a real important thing. And, throughout my running career, I've had coaches most of the time, 20 years of running year round, and all throughout school and college and university, if I've had coaches, and I've clashed with them a lot, but I give them a hard time. But I've been in very, very structured team programs, running at Division I college in the U.S., and then even post-collegiately for 3 years after college, being in a road marathon training group. Every single run, every single day, every single mile of my week was very, very structured. And there's a lot of good things in that. There's also some bad things in that, which I'll get into kind of, especially when you're in a kind of a team program, because it's kind of like throw everyone into the frying pan and see who comes out not getting injured or overtrained. But, I did run a 2:16 marathon in that post-collegiate program when I was focusing on the roads for 3 years fresh out of college, and I had a bunch of 2:15, 2:14 marathon guys pulling me along in workouts. And so there was a lot of value to that. There was also a lot of overtraining and injury that people also gloss over. But it's an individual thing. It's an individual thing because you have to take into consideration not only your injury tolerance and where you're coming from, but your background in running. Did you start running 20 miles a week, 30 miles a week, 50K a week, or have you been running 100K a week or 60 miles a week for 5 years or 10 years or even much longer? And then, are you focusing on a 5K, 10K event, or are you focusing on a mountain 100-mile event or trying to qualify for the Boston Marathon or something like that? So the coach needs to work with your goals and structure and take all that into account. And at Sage Running, and again, this is a business plug, but Coach Sandy and I also don't need to take any more individual athletes right now. I will say our waiting list is too long, and we do sell training plans as well. And I realize some people say, hey, I need really individualized training, which, if people could afford that, that's great. If people could afford, the monthly payments, but different coach programs offer different amounts. More expensive is not always better. And it depends on your situation. So it's kind of a unique thing. At the same time, we see a lot of general principles and training philosophy and things that athletes need to do to qualify for the Boston Marathon or to improve their 5K time or to finish a 100-mile race or something like that. So that's why we designed the training programs to be more accessible and to be at a much lower price point, so you could get the plan and provide you some structure. But the ultimate goal with our coaching, at least through Sage Running, is athlete empowerment, right? That's our tagline. That's what we believe in. And the empowerment part is huge because we want you, and hopefully you could just, watch these playlists on YouTube here, check out all the training talk videos to empower you to be able to at least coach or guide yourself to improvement in distance running in the sport. And that's really kind of the goal of this channel and through sagerunning.com. Athlete empowerment is giving you the tools to be able to apply them appropriately. And it's tough. There's a lot of variables involved, like I said before. And what you want to evaluate with your coach too is how much communication do you have with them? Are they listening to your feedback? Are they listening to your running history, but also your life history? Are they looking out for you in terms of overtraining with your other life stresses? And what kind of feedback you're providing directly to them on the communication side, how effective it really is. So that's kind of an important aspect.
Hey guys, Coach Sandy here, and I just wanted to throw in a couple of my thoughts after being a coach for like 5 years now in my experience. And the first thing is, if you're looking into a coach or even just a training program, know exactly what you want. You want to spend time actually thinking about what you want to get out of the program and what you actually want to accomplish, and think about what it might take to reach your goals. And so if you're talking to a coach, you need to express that right from the start. And then from there, you have to be open to learning. It's really frustrating when somebody comes to Sage and I and they say something like, I want to run a 3-hour marathon, but I don't want to run over 20 miles a week and I want to keep doing only short intervals. They don't want to increase their mileage at all. They don't want to do the longer tempo runs. And so from there, like Sage and I are like, we want to help you, but we can't. And sometimes people just stop talking to us and, we can't do anything. And it's kind of frustrating, but if you're not open to learning, then a coach, can't help you. And when you get a coach, you have to totally buy in to that program, because I think sometimes part of a person's success, it's not only the training, it's buying in to that training program and fully believing that it's helping you. And So that's really important. Like, find a coach, totally buy into that program. Because if you already have it in your head, oh, I'm just going to try this coach for a little bit, and then I'm going to try this other coach, and then I'm going to try this other coach and see what I like best. Well, none of those coaches might be able to help you to your full potential because you're not fully buying into the program. So do your research beforehand. Don't be afraid to ask questions and know what you want. And then, as I said before, be open to learning, and also be open to the feedback and having a coach maybe not agree with some of your plans or your ideas. And also, like, be open to the feedback the coach is giving you. Like, if your defenses are up, then the coach is going to struggle to help you. And even, like, just be aware that a coach might not always think your goals are the best. They'll be willing to help you. Like, sometimes we have people want to do ultras on back-to-back weekends, and we have to say, hey, you might be hurting yourself for a few weeks after that, or hurting some other goals, or like, because you're not recovering in a week, and people want to believe that you can magically recover from an ultra to the next in a week because they see some other, like, professional ultra runners doing it, not realizing those ultra runners probably aren't performing to their absolute potential in that second race. And so just be open to what the coach has to say, and don't ever be afraid to ask coach to explain something further. Like, if you don't agree with something, or not, maybe it's not even that you don't agree, you just don't understand something, never be afraid to ask questions, especially, like, if you're a woman watching this. Please don't feel like you're wasting a coach's time. That's always heartbreaking for me to hear when I hear a woman say, oh, I'm too slow, and so, like, I don't want to waste your time. Like, don't ever think that, ever. If you're a man or a woman, like, we want to help you, and the more information you give us, or any coach, on a day-to-day basis, the more that coach can help you. So always, please don't feel like you're wasting a coach's time by asking questions. And yeah, so that's my 2 cents. I know Sage already gave some great tips, and maybe he has some more, so I'm going to throw the camera back to him.
Yeah, Coach Sandy brought up some great points there. And just as a final closing couple minutes here, you look at my own career, and you're saying, Sage, you're a hypocrite. I take feedback and having that outside perspective from Coach Sandy for some of my training, but I haven't had really a formalized coach or training program. And I don't necessarily say you have to have one. If you read a lot of books, our philosophy is based on a lot on Arthur Lydiard, Jack Daniels, Pete Fitzinger, coaches over the year, even high intensity interval training, but also a mix of aerobic base and moderate intensity. For any service, any distance, it's been tricky with my own career, and what applies to me doesn't necessarily apply to you. I do some really stupid things. So, everyone is different. The goal really is to enjoy the sport, to not get injured, but also to look into progressing and breaking your goals, mentally breaking through and going about the goal process and enjoying the process is really key, as well as keeping people healthy. It's always a top goal. And yeah, through my own career, like, I don't coach people that run super, super fast. A lot of times we've coached people that are running, going for Olympic trials qualifier, for the women's standard, running in the 240s in the marathon, maybe sub 240, 230. I generally do not coach people that run around what I'm running, 219, trying to run sub 220 in the marathon a lot, even though I know those paces really well. And Coach Sandy also doesn't generally coach super elite athletes. We like to coach the people that are starting out, maybe people that are trying to finish their first 100-miler, or people that are trying to run under 4 hours in the marathon, or 3:30 in the marathon, or crack 3 hours and qualify for Boston in the marathon, and athletes like that. But we do coach a variety of levels, and interacted with kids at running camps doing cross country, 5K in high school and college. It's 10K, I guess, more in college, but generally athletes like that. And like I said, the final note is, you got to enjoy the process. And if you could only afford a training plan, or you could afford a book, you could do some more research online. There's a whole playlist and content of videos on this channel. So hope you could take advantage of that free advice, and to empower yourself as an athlete and as a person, to learn more about this great sport that's given me so much. And it's been such a journey over the years. The generosity of the running community never ceases to amaze me. So thanks so much for your support. Be sure to subscribe on here for more videos. Again, Coach Sandy and I do run a business coaching website, sagerunning.com. That is a business plug. As well as check out the playlist and check out Sandy's channel, Running Wild to Believe, for more content, original content, and coaching tips and things like that. Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate the support, and stay tuned for more Sage Running videos.